Not all bonds begin with kindness. Some start with resistance, doubt, even resentment. But sometimes the most unexpected connections leave the deepest impact. Welcome to Wisdom for the Elders. In today's episode, we explore a heartwarming yet unexpected story of transformation and human connection. This is the story of Mr. Lancaster, a proud and independent elderly man who wants nothing to do with caregivers, and Claire, a young woman who enters his life in the most unassuming way. What starts as an obligation quickly turns into an unforgettable journey, one of healing, self-discovery, and second chances. By the end of this story, you might just see relationships and aging in a whole new way. Stay with us and let's begin. The first time I met her, I didn't want to meet her at all. Her name was Claire, a name that meant nothing to me at the time. Just another young woman in scrubs, walking into my home like she belonged there, like she had any right to be in the quiet space I had built for myself over the years. I had spent decades making my own decisions, standing on my own 2 feet. I had been a husband, a father, a man who took pride in never needing help. But life has a way of making decisions for you when you're too stubborn to make them yourself. My children, grown now with busy lives of their own, had insisted, "Dad, you need someone to check in on you just a few hours a day." I hated the idea, to be watched, to be cared for, to be someone's job. Claire knocked twice before stepping inside, a cautious smile on her face. "Mr. Lancaster," she said, like she wasn't sure if I'd even acknowledge her. I didn't. I let the silence hang between us like a curtain, hoping she'd turn around and walk right back out the door. But Claire, I would come to learn, wasn't the kind to scare easily. She sat across from me, setting down her bag as if she planned on staying whether I liked it or not. "Your son told me you like books," she said, glancing at the towering shelves that lined my walls. "Do you have a favorite?" I grunted something that was meant to be dismissive. She didn't take the hint. "You must have read a lot," she said, more to herself than to me. "I always wished I had more time for books," I scoffed. "Everyone has time for books. They just waste it on nonsense instead." It was the first full sentence I had spoken to her. And instead of looking offended, she laughed. A short, genuine laugh, like she wasn't afraid of me. Like she found something amusing in my gruffness. I didn't want to like her, but there was something about her presence, about the way she didn't treat me like I was fragile, like I was some burden she had to manage. She didn't rush to fluff my pillows or insist I needed help with things I could still do myself. She sat. She talked. She let me be who I was without trying to fix anything. That first day, she stayed longer than she needed to, not because I asked her to, but because we had fallen into conversation about books, about life, about things I had forgotten I enjoyed talking about. And when she finally stood to leave, she did something that surprised me. She looked me in the eye and said, "See you tomorrow, Mr. Lancaster. I'm looking forward to it." Like it was a privilege to come back, like she meant it. I told myself I didn't care, that I wouldn't get used to her being around, that she was just another visitor passing through my life, like so many before her. But what I didn't know then, what I couldn't have known, was that Claire wasn't just here to help me. She was about to change my life. I told myself I didn't care whether she came back. And yet, when the clock hit 3 and there was no knock on the door. I felt something I hadn't expected. Disappointment. But just as I started convincing myself that maybe she had changed her mind, that maybe I was just another old man she would forget, the door creaked open, and there she was, Claire, bright-eyed, carrying that same notebook, walking in like she had never been anywhere else. She settled into the chair across from me like it was already hers. No hesitation, no uncertainty. "I brought something for you," she said, pulling a small tattered paperback from her bag. She set it on the table between us. The pages yellowed with time, the spine cracked from too many reads. "It's my favorite," she added almost shyly. "I thought you might like it. It had been a long time since anyone had given me something just because. Not out of obligation, not because they thought I needed it, but because they wanted to share something with me. I should have said thank you. I should have at least nodded. But instead, I did what I always did. I deflected. "You think you can impress me with a book?" I scoffed. "You don't even know what I like." "Maybe not," she admitted, "but you'll read it anyway, just to prove me wrong." Damn it, she had me. Day by day, she kept coming back, and little by little, she chipped away at something I had spent years building, my solitude. She didn't ask about the things other people did. She didn't ask how I was feeling, whether I needed anything, whether I was lonely. She just talked. She just listened. And damn it if I didn't start looking forward to those conversations. "You know, fresh air won't kill you," she teased. I rolled my eyes but let her guide me anyway. The truth was, I had forgotten what it felt like to be outside without a purpose, without an errand to run, without a task to accomplish, just to be, to sit, to breathe. She never pushed too hard. She never made me feel like I was being handled, and that was something I hadn't realized I needed. One afternoon, Claire asked me something that no one had asked me in a long time. "What do you miss the most?" she said, her voice softer than usual. The question caught me off guard. It was the kind of thing people avoid asking, afraid of the answer. But she wasn't afraid. I wanted to say nothing, that I didn't miss anything, that I was fine. But the truth was heavier than that. And before I knew it, the words slipped out. "I miss being needed." For a moment, there was just silence between us, the kind of silence that isn't empty, but full. And then she did something unexpected. She reached across the table, placed her hand lightly over mine, and just held it there. No words, no forced reassurance, just warmth. I don't know why, but in that moment I didn't pull away. I sat there for a long time, staring at that letter, feeling something I hadn't felt in years, loss, and yet something else too, gratitude. Because for the first time in a long time I had let someone in, and even though she was gone, she had left something behind, something real, something that mattered. And as I looked around the room, at the book she had asked me about, at the empty chair across from me, I realized something. I had been wrong all along. I wasn't just a man being taken care of. I wasn't just someone in need of help. I was still someone who could be important, someone who could make a difference. And maybe, just maybe, it wasn't too late to start acting like it.
Mr. Lancaster, I'm so sorry for leaving like this. I wish I could tell you this in person, but I know if I did, you'd never let me go without a fight. And you should know, I didn't want to go. The truth is, I never told you why I took this job. Most people think caregivers do this work because they have to. But for me, it was different. I didn't just want a job. I wanted to be near people like you, people who reminded me of someone I lost. My grandfather, he was my world. He raised me, taught me everything, and then he got sick, and I couldn't save him. I was young, and I thought I had time. But time is a cruel trickster, and before I knew it, he was gone. Being with you, talking to you, listening to your stories, it felt like getting back a piece of something I lost. You were never just a client to me. You were my friend, and maybe, in some strange way, you helped me heal a part of myself I didn't even realize was still broken. But life is unpredictable, and sometimes it takes us away from the things we don't want to leave. I got accepted into a nursing program out of state. It's something I've always dreamed of, and I know you, of all people, would tell me to go. But that doesn't make leaving any easier. I hope you keep reading, Mr. Lancaster. I hope you keep sitting outside, even when the air is crisp. I hope you know that you mattered, not just to your family, not just to the people who come and go, but to me, always. With all my heart, thank you. Claire.
It was strange how quickly I had grown used to her. I had spent years perfecting the art of solitude, yet in a matter of weeks, Claire had carved a space for herself in my routine, in my days, in the quiet corners of my mind where I used to sit alone. And now she was late. She's never late. It was strange how quickly I had grown used to her. I had spent years perfecting the art of solitude, yet in a matter of weeks, Claire had carved a space for herself in my routine, in my days, in the quiet corners of my mind where I used to sit alone. And now she was late. It was ridiculous to care, to worry. But the truth was, the room felt different without her, emptier. The woman in the doorway was older, maybe in her 50s, with tired eyes and a forced smile. I frowned. "Who are you?" "Mr. Lancaster?" she asked, stepping inside cautiously. "I'm Julie. I'm filling in for Claire today." "Filling in?" The words tasted wrong. Claire wasn't someone who needed to be replaced. She wasn't just a name on a schedule. She was... I know this might be sudden," Julie continued, fumbling with her bag, clearly uncomfortable. "But Claire asked me to check in on you. She wanted me to tell you she's not coming back." For a moment I thought I had misheard her, that my ears, my damn aging ears, had failed me, but no. The words had been clear, sharp, final. "Not coming back?" I echoed, my voice foreign even to myself. "What do you mean she's not coming back?" Julie shifted uncomfortably. "Claire didn't want you to worry. She had to leave." "Had to leave," I repeated, as if saying it aloud would make it make sense. But it didn't. Claire had been here just yesterday, laughing, talking, making me believe, for the first time in a long time, that maybe, just maybe, I wasn't completely alone. And now she was gone. "She left this for you," she said, her voice softer now. "She said you'd understand." Grief is a strange thing. It doesn't always come with tears, with dramatic outbursts or loud sobs. Sometimes it settles in the silence, in the way a room feels bigger when someone is no longer in it, in the way time moves differently when there's no one waiting on the other side of the door. The day after Claire left, I woke up at the usual time. I sat in the same chair. I poured the same cup of tea, but everything felt wrong. I had spent years believing solitude was safety, that if I kept my world small, if I let as few people in as possible, I could avoid loss, avoid the pain of watching things and people slip through my fingers. But I had let Claire in. Without even realizing it, I had let her carve a space in my life. And now, with her gone, I had a choice to make. I could let the walls close in again. I could return to the way things were before her, or I could find a way to move forward. For the first time in years, I asked myself a question I had long stopped considering. What now? For a moment, I don't know what to say. How do you explain that something small, someone small, has shifted the ground beneath you? That a girl with bright eyes and a notebook managed to remind you that you are still here, still living? I clear my throat, feeling something had changed. Not in some grand, dramatic way, not in a way that erased the loneliness or the years I had spent keeping the world at a distance, but in a way that mattered, because change doesn't have to be big to be real. Sometimes it starts with a phone call, a dinner, a single moment of deciding to reach out instead of pulling away. Claire was gone, but she had left something behind, something more than just words on a page. She had left a reminder that life doesn't stop just because we convince ourselves it has, that we are never too old to be needed, to be seen, to be loved. And maybe, just maybe, it wasn't too late for me to start living again. There are moments in life that change you, not in ways that you notice immediately, but in ways that settle deep inside, shifting something unseen. Claire had been one of those moments for me. Her presence, brief as it was, had opened a door I thought had been locked forever. But now that it was open, what was I supposed to do next? I had spent so many years looking back on what was lost, on what had faded, on who I used to be, that I had forgotten to look forward. And the truth was, forward felt strange, unfamiliar. But wasn't that the point of living? To keep moving even when you don't know exactly where you're going? It's a funny thing, legacy. We spend our whole lives building it, thinking it's made of grand achievements, of things we leave behind in books or photographs or names carved into stones. But sometimes legacy is quieter than that. Sometimes it's in the way we make people feel, in the stories we tell, in the moments of connection that last long after we are gone. We don't always get to choose who enters our lives. Sometimes they come unexpectedly, like a chapter we didn't see coming. But what we do with their presence, that is our choice. I used to believe my story was over, that I was just waiting for the last page to turn. But I was wrong, because stories don't end until we stop telling them, and I still have so much left to say.